Hey guys, welcome to Monday, the 4th of October 2021. We got a pretty quiet morning here in Europe. Not much in the way of interesting data. A little bit of downside volatility seen on the open. And yeah, I mean, but the big thing for today is the OPEC meeting. So we have the JMMC, uh, the Joint Ministerial Meeting Committee meeting at 2 o'clock today, and then OPEC ministers at 3. So I think the expectation is really that they're not going to put any more supply on, despite calls from Joe Biden and the White House and some other areas around the world to add more supply on. But really, I think that's a dangerous game if they're just go and ad hoc add in more than the what they're currently adding on per month, which is 400,000 barrels a day, or sorry, 400,000 barrels per month back onto supply. It's really a bit of a dangerous game, and you've seen oil now on the front foot all morning. It's high. You've got Brent trading at really decent levels, $80 last week. 76, around 76, about 78 high for oil on the year so far. I just don't see OPEC adding it on. Now, if they do add anything on, I don't think it's going to be that meaningful. And really, the interesting thing about this game at this time is that if they do add supply back on, that's going to be even more of a reason for US drillers to not actually be interested in coming back to market. And if those US drillers are not actually interested in coming back to market, well, then you have a continual supply crisis in that prices will then remain high. So you might see an initial pullback on the addition of oil, but actually the greater occurrence is going to be that we will be going further up in prices, no matter I think what happens. So let's get over and look at these charts. And you can see here a little bit of downside on the DAX. We're currently down about 0.8%. I think at the depths of the morning we were down about 1.2. Um, just gotta mute the squawk in my ears at the moment. So yeah, we were kind of, I think initially when we reopened last night on equities, there, SPOOs and Dow, were up about like 0.3, 0.4%. But you can see then it all came back down to earth, and trading down 0.2 on US equities. But as we look forward to the US session, you can see the Nasdaq is kind of caught in this range here that we identified last week. So the low, this level here, the 14,703s, is actually the low of the day on 19th of August 2021. And we're kind of coming in to also trade against the 100 EMA on the lows here. So we spent most of Friday kind of struggling to get above that in the European session, Asia and European, and then getting bid up late in the European session, and then just took it all back on the US Open, and then kind of recovered somewhat to gap up on the reopen of trade at 11 p.m. last night GMT. So I think, yeah, this market is supported right now above 100 EMA and this 14703s. You may see a snapback up to the 50 EMA over this week, but largely these markets definitely need, the call is out. We're trading the 100 EMA. The call is out for the buyers to come in and defend this market and get back up there. So, I think while we have seen downside volatility in the APAC session and Europe Open, I think we can start to get back up 14,876 high of the range to trade on Nasdaq, and that is that sort of high from the 7th of July, and also the high on the 12th of July is the high of that range there. So, yeah, I mean that's what I'm looking at for Nasdaq for today. Um, Moving on to US equities, the SPOOs. Let's have a look on the daily. Similar story. We're holding on the 100 EMA, the 4321s. You can see here is the low of the day on the 22nd of September. It completely got smashed on Friday, retested as resistance. Kind of Friday on the open, we had quite a violent move to the downside. Actually, it was a bit of rock and roll going on. Short here on the open, down and then recovering off of those lows to work high into the close and reclaim the 43.59 and a half on the bottom of this area as a target for the move back up. So, we have been holding this line in the sand for quite some time now. I mean, going back to the 22nd of July, we've actually held this zone as a sort of a key area for this market to hold for bullish bets essentially, and we're not holding that now. We're, if anything, the market's having trouble even holding on to the lows of this range. So that's why, I mean, 43.74 and a half. Should that test, I see the sellers coming in. I do, and you've got the 50 EMA above. The market, the buyers just have so much to do to reclaim somewhere like 44.06. So notwithstanding headline risk, say uh, new stimulus, I don't see that happening, but probably getting this debt bill issue off the desk of the Republicans and the Democrats is going to be pretty good for the market. So should we get something like that this week, I think, yeah, it's going to be positive for stocks. You don't really want to see these bonds dropping below last week's lows, because that is going to trigger further upside on the real yield, and that's also going to trigger downside volatility on the Nasdaq, right? So people are going to be leaving the hot tech stocks alone and going for the yield trade. And so we saw that last week. Then we worked up out of those lows after, I think it was the Tuesday lows, was it? Wednesday, Tuesday lows. Let's just have a look at T notes just behind my face here. Just here we are. Here we have last week's trade on T notes on the lows on Tuesday. Yeah, and then we just kind of bid back up after. So if we breach Tuesday's lows, for example, or make an effort at that, I think you're going to see that Nasdaq getting absolutely walloped to the downside. Um, and I think you don't want to get caught traditionally thinking, well, hold on, bonds down, stocks up. It's a risk on trade. Why is the risk not being put on and the Nasdaq going up? Well, it's because bonds down, higher yield, bigger institutional players happier to get the more secure yield with way less risk than piling into much riskier products such as the Nasdaq tech stocks, right? So do keep an eye out for that sort of correlation, if you like, a sort of a negative correlation effect. So SPOOs as well. Let's have a quick look back on SPOOs. How do we make money? I think 43.21s and a quarter. Currently holding the 100 EMA as well there. You can see we're bid back up only negative 0.2%. Generally it is the way, if we're going off or down in the morning, and then we kind of rebid that back up into the US session. Generally, you see that upside continuation in the US session. However, if you see you do see the inverse occur as well. And we saw that last week, and we went offered in the European session, we were bid up in the European session, then went really hard offer down selling on the reopen on the US session, and then kind of bid back up. So a little bit of a reversal of what we saw on the way up in this mega trend in equities. So do be mindful of that. As always, it's not easy to try and make sense of the moves that you're seeing in the markets. But something I was looking at this morning is this sort of bifurcation of the Dow, in that around what is now the 100 EMA 34,200. From a sort of a value trade perspective, let me just tidy this up. I kind of was looking at the consolidation that you see here, really since April, and putting in a pullback in June lows, and then bid up into all-time highs. But the time we spent trading above that 34,200s area in the center, it's not that much, and it was kind of weak when it tried to make a new all-time high, getting sucked down in then to the 100 EMA, where we now trade below. I don't want to spook too many chickens, but I think this market needs to trade the 200 now. It just technically it just says that to me. I mean, we're making lower lows really on the days and on the weeks here. So there's no reason why that should not continue until we find value at the bottom of this area, and that would be the high of the 18th of May this year. Little bit of a gap was left there, closed then in July or June. So I think, being short this market, it's not easy to do. The equities do love to go up, but you can see this morning selling off with the 100 EMA coming in. This market is weak. I think it's not going to take very much to push it down through the 33,919s, revisit the lows of last week, and kind of work down in this range. And I don't think that's sensationalist to say. So what's the trade we're looking for? I'd be looking at short 34,200s actually in the Dow today. Should we get a pullback on that? Oil, yeah, I mean, oil is starting to price in this OPEC meeting where they're not going to add supply on. Really, I don't see oil not making a new all-time or a new high on the year this week. It's I really don't think the market's gonna be able to go down that much unless uh, OPEC come out and say, you know what, we're adding on another 400,000 barrels because Joe told us to, which I don't see is happening. So currently 76.67's high of year. We're trading 75 spot 81s. I think we could easily kind of breach these highs on the APAC session on the trend. And really then we get this trade underway. So do keep an eye on that trend there as we move up. Yeah, okay, cool. Gold, it's taken a bit of that heat from last week off, as you can see below the 1752 spot fours. Shorts there for those interested, I think, off of this level. I don't know if we're going to do a whole unwind, but if we look on the daily chart here, you can see really the weekly chart. You can see the lows coming in on the 16th of May. 16th of May last year to the lows on the 8th of May this year, and retested. This is a lovely long that we got on here, coming back up in the trend, in this compression pennant, if you like, or compression flag. I think once we've broken down here now, I think we are skewed to the downside, and we could actually be trading 1692s. Gold has just been a really horrible trade, and I'm not really too enamored with it myself. So, what's the trade? The trade is leave it alone. That's what my trade on gold is, to be honest, at the moment. It's really hard to put on very tight risk on gold at the moment. It really is. So, yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see something a bit better tomorrow. But for me, gold actually, while we had a 2% bid last week, I think we can retrace at least probably to the S2 or 3 today, 1739s. And euro lifting up on the dollar weakness. So we have had that stronger dollar, but it's unsustainable. And I'll show you why. This dollar here on the weekly bars, right? Well, what have we done? We broke down on this mega uptrend. We've revisited that in when was this? This was March, March this year. We came down and we've revisited there last week. Now I think, well, you know what happened in March? We went way offered off of a retest. You know what's going to happen this month? We're going to go way offered on a retest back down to the 50 EMA. So while that's happening, I think the longs are valid in the euro. How do you get on that trade? Well, here's the 60 minutes. I think you could find the support on the 15,645s to then get bid on back up to test into a nice little area above here, which would be the lows of the 4th of November 2011, actually. Or sorry, 2020. 4th of November 2020. Yeah, look, if euro breaches the 15,645s, I think you better transfer everything you have into dollars, essentially. I wouldn't want to be long the euro after that. So, yeah, all right, that's it. That's it from me. This Friday, we're going to be doing a session in the room on NFTs. So we're going to be joined by one of the elite team traders, Elam, and Elam has been minting NFTs and hawking them anywhere he can online and been making some pretty decent bank out of it. And so we're really going to be talking about NFTs. How do you mint them? How do you make them? How do you sell them? Where do you sell them? And what's going on in that space. So this is really kind of a lot more advanced than what is an NFT. But yeah, we will cover that. But I think, the world and his mother has really covered what is an NFT by now. But so it's going to be an interesting session. We're going to get that done in the morning time of NFP, which can be quite quiet. So the big data for this week is obviously NFP 130 on Friday, which we will cover live here in the Pro Trader room. And so if you're watching on YouTube, just go to duggancapital.com, log into the site, which is totally free, and then you can select which Discord room that you want to actually take part in. And we're daily here in the Pro Trader room. So looking forward to seeing some people in there. All right, have a great week, and I'll be talking to you all tomorrow. And take care out there. Cheers.